Hi everyone, it's Kylie. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to your 30-minute creative flexibility practice, where today we're going to be getting into some really challenging and fun stability and mobility work as well. So grab your mat, maybe even some blocks to balance with, and let's get started. All right, my friends, we are going to get started by warming up that spine. So step onto your mat and take a very wide stance, grounding through the toes, turning them out. We're going to reach the arms up overhead, clasp the fingers together, and press away as we feel the collarbones lengthen and the belly draw up and in. Now let's dive forward. Let's fold down onto the legs. Release the head here. Give that head a nice big shake. Imagine how heavy your head is. Feel the weight of that. Take some shifts side to side, loosen up the tailbone, wag the tail out. Great, and getting into some waves here. So bending deeply in the knees, rounding up through the spine, and then arching the back as you sink back down to the floor. So waving through a rounded back as you come up and arching to take the head back as you come down. Getting into those nice, soft, juicy curves of your spine. Now let's gather the arms up overhead, clasping the fingers together again, and let's take a nice big side bend over to the right. As we come back to center, bend the knees, bend the elbows, reach back long and side bend over to the left. See if each time you do these side bends, you can get a little bit further, and see if each time you bend the knees, you can bend them a little bit deeper. Feel the ankles soften as you bend the knees as well, and really reach those elbows back beside your ears to get a nice big upper arm stretch. Beautiful work. Continue following along as we open up the wrists and ankles. I just want to take this moment to remind you to focus on your breath today and really see if you can find a presence and an awareness that takes you away from your day-to-day to-do list, takes you into the sensation of your body. I challenge you for the next 30 minutes to focus just on you, not check that phone, not think about anything else that's happening in the day. Focus on you. Go ahead and turn sideways on your mat now. Let's get into some forward folding with the feet close together. Draw the arms up over your head, dive forward, and let the head hang as you look between the shin bones. Bend the knees deeply, sit the sit bones down to the heels, and then stretch the legs back out again. It's totally okay if the knees don't get fully straight here just yet. Let's just work on yawning open from the backs of the knees and inviting in that sensation that our hamstrings provide for us here. Holding in that forward fold, maybe lacing the hands together behind the ankles and really pulling the nose close to the knees. Nice work. Let's place the hands on the shins. Let's look up and forward, and let's get into some more lateral mobility work with the spine here. So taking the eyes, searching around and looking towards the left hip and then the right hip. So getting that lateral tilt of the neck and spine happening here. Folding back down onto the legs, bending the knees but keeping your toes tucked underneath you. Let's continue with this neck mobility warm-up, seeing how much of that 360 circle you can find as you look to your right and look to your left. And then looking up to the sky and looking down to the floor again. Let's spend a little bit of time with some of the smaller areas of the body here too. Let's turn the fingers in towards the knees and open up the front of those wrists. So as you sit your hips back to your heels, also pay attention to your sit bones. Feel them drift a little further apart as you sit back. All right, let's go ahead and reset the hands, step the feet a little further back, and untuck the toes. We'll sit all the way back to child's pose here and take a moment to get comfortable. Then we'll lift the hips out of the heels again, and as we come towards tabletop, we'll arch the back and come into that cow stretch. Lift the chin, open up the throat. Sitting back to child's pose once again. Next time, as you lift forward into your tabletop, go through your cow position and then transform into your cat. Tuck the chin to the chest, round the tailbone underneath. Continue waking up that spine with some more nice, juicy curves. So this next posture is going to challenge your balance and your back mobility. Setting up opposite arm to leg. I'm going to reach my left toes back and my right hand forward. Find this nice long opposition line first. Then start to bend through that lifted knee. Bend the toes in towards the hips and reach back. See if you can find the top of the foot with that right hand. If you can't, it's totally okay. Hold in this bent position. It's still a great challenge for the back. And if possible, lift the chin, arch the back a little bit more. Nice work. Let's bring everything back down and let's switch to the opposite side. It really helps in this position to activate the toes and spread that balancing hand a little bit wider to give yourself as much of a solid base as you can. These cross-body oppositional balances can be very challenging, so breathe through it and take your time. Settling back into a child's pose once again, take a rest moment here. Expand the breath. Now open the hips, fold open into an upward dog, tuck those toes, and then from the front of the hips, lift your hips up, pausing in a plank, and then lift the hips up and back, finding that downward dog shape, pedaling out those heels to further open up the backs of the ankles and legs. Let's continue warming up the core and hips a little bit here. Let's open into our plank and then fold back into our downward dog and repeat that 2 more times. Each time you settle back into downward dog, can your heels get a little closer to the floor? Continuing with our balance challenges here. Pausing in your downward dog, release that right hand and twist underneath to reach for the outside of your left knee. Rotate the head and spine, look underneath the left armpit. Find that rotation as you balance. Release the right hand and let's try it on the left. Nice. Continuing with our balance work, let's bend the knees and hover them 1 inch off the floor. Reach that right hand back, tap the top of the left knee. Just some different tripod variations here, trying to keep our spine nice and flat, trying to keep our shoulders and hips square as we do these. All right, taking ourselves from 3 limbs to 2, reach your left toes back, right hand forward, and with that right knee still hovering, try that bird dog, nice long line position once again. Try to keep the knee as low, hovering to the floor as you can, and let's switch sides. Very minimal point of contact on the floor here, super challenging balance. You're doing great. Let's press back to downward dog and let's flow through just to flush out the muscles here. Round through the spine as you shift forward to plank, moving through that low push-up position. Through upward dog, open the chest, and then settle the knees to the floor as you sit back to child's pose once again. Find rest. Let's get ready to bring ourselves back up to standing. Lift the hips off the heels, tuck the toes, passing through your downward dog, and then look forward towards the hands, step the toes in towards the wrist, soften the knees as you roll up to stand, draw those arms up overhead, clasp the fingers together, and then draw them in front of you, find some wrist circles and loosen out those wrists. All right, let's get ready for a good knee and hip mobility challenge here. Hands to heart center. We're gonna lift the heels, find a little bit of a balance here. Like you're going down an elevator, control as you bend those knees, sinking the hips slowly towards the heels. Pausing halfway. Good, continue sinking hips down to heels. Maintain control. You can sit the hips all the way down and maybe, just maybe, you let your knees tip forward and find the floor. Let's lift the hips off the heels, open them up. If you're finding any of this too harsh on the knees, add some extra padding underneath. So let's reverse. This is the tricky part. Hips come back to the heels, and then maybe one at a time we lift the knees back off the floor and find that squat position. Elevating ourselves back up to standing. Can you keep your heels off the floor for that entire duration? Nice work. Take a little rest, stretch out the tops of the feet, and let's repeat that challenge one more time. Find your breath, and the goal here is to maintain a consistent pace, so there's no jerky movements. Of course, our balance is being challenged, so find something to focus on in the space in front of you. Try to keep that back up nice and tall, shoulder blades squeezing together, posture is nice and strong. Really press the hips open as you lift the hips up off the heels. Good. Finding your way back up to standing one more time. Excellent job, everyone. Let's continue flowing through. Reach those arms up overhead, swan dive forward into your forward fold. Step or jump the feet back to your downward dog position. Pedal out the heels, and then flowing through. Take any variations you like here. Take a moment to just flow things out and flush out those muscles. Moving through low push-up and upward dog. And then let's fold the knees back down to the floor and let's find tabletop. All right, another fun challenge coming our way. Let's start by tucking the toes under and letting the knees hover off the mat. We are going to release left hand and right foot, reaching back around and trying to connect hand to foot, finding that bound position. Go ahead and straighten the underneath leg as you pull the heel towards your hips, sort of in this crossbody dancer's pose, feeling that gorgeous quad stretch. Good. Release the hands, straighten that leg all the way up to the ceiling, finding that tripod, and then bringing the right foot back down, moving through downward dog, lowering the knees back down to the mat, and then hovering them once again as we lift the left toes to try this on the other side. Right hand reaches back. Take a moment, find your stability. Moving up through that tripod, release left toes, point them strong to the ceiling, open up the hips, and then coming back down through your downward dog. Knees find the floor and we release back to child's pose. Enjoy the rest here, my friends. And then gear up, because get ready, we are going for round 2 of that challenge. Finding your tabletop position, tuck the toes, lift the knees. Let's take that right foot back. Totally okay if you're finding these little wiggle wobbles side to side, and if you're falling out of the position, go ahead and just bring yourself right on back. It's these stability challenges where we're gaining strength and where we're gaining more balance and more stability. So when we fall over, our muscles learn which direction we fall in, and then they learn to correct that. Yes, once you've done both sides, find yourself back in downward dog, roll yourself out through plank, through low push-up, through upward dog, and then soften back to your child's pose. You deserve a bit of a break here. Nice work, everyone. Let's roll up through our downward dog, step our feet in to meet our hands, and roll up through a rounded spine. Take those arms up overhead once again, press the palms away, and open up the chest. That last little section was a lot of work through our upper body, so let's go ahead and shake out the shoulders, hands, and wrists. And let's take a little break here. Grab some water. In this next little segment, we're going to be standing and balancing just on the feet, no hands on the floor for a while here. And if you struggle with ankle stability, feel free to do any of the next section holding on to something, maybe a table or the side of the couch. Stay with me here, fam. We are going to be standing on one leg for an extended period of time, starting with tree pose. I'm on my right leg, bringing my left foot up across my right hip and letting my knee fall open to the side. Breathing here as we start to fold the hips back and find a standing figure 4, flexing through that left ankle, hands to heart center. We're going to start to fold forward even more, tenting the fingertips onto the floor, release the head over the leg. Maybe, just maybe, you straighten out that standing leg, continuing to hold that figure 4. Good. Here's the fun part. Let's reverse. Bend the standing leg, float the fingertips up off the floor, bring them back to heart center. Really feel the sit bones reaching wide. Chest starts to lift. We're fighting for our balance as we're coming back up straight. Let's gather that left knee up into the chest. We're almost there. Feel free to soften the standing leg at any time for a little bit more balance. Nice. Reach down, find the ankle, extend that leg forward. Maybe you start to straighten out that standing leg once again. Nice. So strong, so stable here. Last thing is we soften our reaching leg. We draw the knee back into the chest one more time, and then go ahead, release that leg down to the floor. Awesome job. Let's flush it out. Reach the arms up overhead, press the palms away, and let's get ready to go on the other side. Go ahead and shake out those feet. Standing on left foot, right foot finds that tree position, crossing the ankle over the hip. Breathing here, proud chest, soft face. A little bit of teetering side to side is okay. Think of how trees move in the wind. Cross into your standing figure 4. Fold your chest onto your leg. Hands to heart center. Right ankle flexes. Fingertips find the floor. We fold into that standing figure 4. Fold it onto the leg. Maybe you release the head here. Shake it out a little bit. How can you challenge your balance in little ways? Let's reverse. Standing leg bends. Fingertips float back off the floor, coming through heart center. We make our way back up to a standing tree. We shift our knee and we pull the knee into the chest, really hug it in tight. And then we get ready to extend the leg forward, finding ankle, finding calf, whatever you can reach. Lengthen out through that hamstring, yawning open through the back of the knee. Shoulders back, chest proud, collarbones long. Knee finds chest one more time. And then we release right leg back down to the floor. Awesome work. Yes, everybody, you deserve a break. Let's go ahead and shake those shoulders, shake those wrists out. Do whatever you need to do here for the next couple of seconds. We are about halfway through this practice. I dare you to see if you can stay focused. For me, this is sometimes the moment where I think, okay, that's enough. I did something. And maybe it is, and that's okay too if that's where you're at today. But let's stay focused together for 15 more minutes and let's push through. Go ahead and find yourself in a downward dog shape once again. We are moving into some side body work. Woo, lots of fun. Let's walk those hands out through downward dog. And let's lower the knees down to the mat. We're going to start to turn ourselves open into a kneeling side plank. I've got my right hand and right knee on the floor. I start to hover those left toes and reach the left fingertips away, creating a nice long line in my kneeling side plank, a nice side body opening. Before I start to reach back with the top arm and toes and find a connection, find a wheel or a circle shape, and start to arch my chest open, reach my eye line back, head reaches back toward the toes, and we're balancing in this half wheel position. Nice opening for the quad, for the belly, for the front of the hips. Good, let's step back through that side plank line and let's lower foot down to the floor. Waking up our inner thighs here, the bottom leg comes up, toes tap to the inside of that standing knee, squeezing inner thighs together. We're really gonna feel that inner thigh, that pelvis working. Good, lower the knee back down to the floor. Let's come through kneeling as we get ready to transition to the other side. Reaching a left hand out, finding that balance on left knee as we find our kneeling side plank to start. Beautiful, gorgeous, nice long line. And then hovering the toes off the mat, getting ready to bend the knee, getting ready to reach that top arm back, open up the chest and shoulder, finding that connection. And then releasing the neck and chest into the posture, open up. Breathing here as you balance. Super wide hand for stability. Good, reach back through your side plank and then hover that underneath leg, toe taps to the inside of the bottom of the knee. We hover here, we float, we squeeze inner thighs. 3, 2, 1. Bottom leg finds that floor again. Reach through your side bend and transfer back through the knees one more time. Go ahead, roll out those wrists. As we get ready to go into our next lateral posture, know that we're going to be spending some more time on the knee, so add that padding underneath if you need. So coming back to your right side kneeling side plank, you're going to reach forward and grab onto the big toe using 2 fingers. Reach the heel forward and then start to open up the hips as the heel reaches towards the ceiling, expanding widely as you open up the front body. Here's the fun part. Bend the knees, sit the hip down to the heel, and then open back up again. So we fold closed, and then we open back up, expressing the hips forward even more. We're gonna release the bind. Find this floating star shape, point the toe, maybe hover up onto the fingertips. Balance here for one more moment. Good, then let it go. Gather the knees back together. Let's pass through center and get ready to go on the other side. We're on our left side, balancing on our left hand. Reach forward with the right hand, grab onto that right big toe. Open up the hips, press the pelvis forward. Breathing through this. Good. Sit the hips back, lower that bottom leg, and then open back up. Express. One more time, folding through the hips and open back up. And then let's balance in this floating star shape. Release the bind, point the toes, maybe pop up to the fingertips on the standing arm. Gorgeous work here, my friends. Come through the knees. Let's take some full body torso circles, reaching over to the right, walking the hands around the knees in a nice big circle, and then reverse, going other direction, releasing the head, finding a soft neck and spine as you flush out that spine. Nice work. That completes the lateral body section of our practice. Let's turn sideways on our mat again. Let's pass through our downward dog. Keep the legs straight as you tiptoe the feet underneath you. And let's try this forward fold challenge. Reach for the ankles, pull the knee into the shins. Here's an extra challenge for your forward fold. Go ahead and stabilize yourself through the fingertips. Start to lift the heels, find your balance, and then maybe float the fingertips off the floor again. So we're wrapping the hands around the calves, we're drawing the knees slowly into the shins, and we're practicing our forward fold on the tips of our toes. A great balance challenge. You got this. Breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Let those heels float back down to the floor. Soften the knees and soften the hips all the way down to the heels. Let's fold into our forward fold one more time. Wrap those arms behind the legs and really hug yourself into your legs. Hamstrings are feeling nice and open and available at this point in the practice. We are going to step our left foot forward, right foot back, and find an upside down A-frame here. We're going to create a little bind, reaching our left hand back and right hand between the legs. I know it feels a little bit awkward. Embrace the awkwardness. Find your balance here on 2 legs. Go ahead, start to look forward, find a flat back, maintaining that bind behind the left hamstring. We'll release the hands, we'll lace them together again, now behind the sacrum, and then we'll fold forward for a nice shoulder opening, reaching the hands out in front of us. Nice, let's release the hands. Let's step our left foot back to meet our right through downward dog. And then we'll take our right foot forward, getting ready to do this on the other side. So first lacing our hands together in between the legs, and then using the leg as a leverage to lift up and pull away from the hips. Lengthen out the throat and neck. Stay long in the back of the neck here. Good. Go ahead, take the hands together behind the sacrum again and fold forward onto the leg, releasing the head and neck and letting the hands hang as far forward as you can. Nice work. Exhale as you release the hands to the floor, step the feet back to downward dog, and then bend the knees, keeping the toes tucked as you lower down onto your knees. Let's take a resting posture here for a moment, just on the knees. Take a couple nice big inhales and exhales. We're going to move into another single leg kneeling posture, so double up that mat underneath you if you need to. So starting in a tabletop position, lifting that left knee and then reaching back same arm as leg. So my left hand reaches back to find my left ankle. It's very tricky to balance in this position, so definitely move slow. And then press the foot up into the hand, open up your kneeling dancer's pose. Definitely lots of movement happening on the stabilization side. Let that movement happen. Breathe through it. Good. Release and straighten out that leg before coming back through tabletop. Let's sit back through child's pose. And then let's prepare to do that on the other side. So finding my balance on my left knee, kicking my right toes up towards the ceiling, and maybe reaching back to find that right ankle. Pressing open through the front of the thigh, arching the back slightly. Whoops. Yep. Sometimes we might need to have a second go at things, right? Open up the throat and neck. Look forward. Look up towards the ceiling if you can. Breathing for 3, 2, and 1. Release and straighten out that leg before bringing the knees back together. Sit back through child's pose. Exhale. Nice work. Inhale. Exhale as you shift back through your tabletop. Arch the back. Find that cat stretch just momentarily here to loosen out the spine. And we'll keep moving forward into some more kneeling postures just to keep working on that balance. I'm going to go ahead and double over my mat here for some extra padding. And then I'm going to take both knees onto that padded area. Standing up tall on my knees, I take my left heel forward, straightening out that leg and reach the arms up overhead. Breathing here, engage the core for balance, then float the hands down towards the sacrum. Start to lean back and use your sacrum to post up on, opening up the front of the chest. Collarbones reach long as you exalt. Good, recovering the spine. Let's take the arms up overhead. Let's go ahead and fold forward for a single leg forward fold. Releasing the hamstring here. Enjoy some space between the vertebrae. Breathing. Good. As you bring your spine back up straight here, bring the toes in a little closer to the standing knee. We're gonna find our balance here first on the tip of our toe. Then we're gonna see if we can reach down and grab the knee and pull it in towards the chest. Yes, we are balancing on one knee here. Very challenging. See if you can hold it for anywhere from 1 to 5 seconds. Super challenging posture. It's like our shin becomes our foot. Easier said than done. Good. Let's set our hips back down to our heels, and let's take that challenge on the other side. So lifting the hips up out of the heels, taking the right foot forward. We'll take that reclined sacrum stretch first, hands floating to the low back, and then hinging back, leaning back. Feel the front body open. Breathe. And then get ready to float the arms down and up overhead, getting ready to hinge at the hips as you fold forward. Nice lazy torso coming onto that leg. A micro bend behind the knee is totally okay here. Keep enjoying that sensation from the back of the hamstring. Flex that right ankle even more if you can. Good, lift the chest, lift the eye line forward, step that right foot in a little closer, and let's get ready to try and balance on one knee. First, come up to the tip of the toes. Let's take it in stages here. Engaging my core, feeling my spine get nice and strong as I try to float the foot and draw the knee into the chest. Obviously, again, easier said than done. Attempting this for 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. Knees come together, sit the hips back down onto the heels, and find that breath. Nice work, team. Let's go ahead and unfold that mat. We're going to transition through our downward dog to come up to some standing postures. We've got a few more postures to make it through this practice, and they are getting challenging. So breathe your way through. Find a 3-legged dog with your left leg up in the air. Stretch and open up those hips. Here, if you need to bring your hands closer to your foot, go ahead and do that. We are going to release the same hand as leg that's in the air and find this sideways pointing needle. So balancing on 2 limbs, right foot, right hand, as we open up the side body and find that nice long line, trying to open our chest to the side wall. Good. Fold your lifted leg in front of your standing leg and find a folded figure 4. Go ahead, take that leg back up through your 3-legged dog, shake out the joints, shake out the knee and ankle, and then coming back through downward dog. Right leg floats high up in the air. Shake out your 3-legged dog, get comfortable here, and then go ahead and start to transition onto 2 limbs. So this time right hand floats off the mat, reaches long in front of you, and we open up the chest to the side wall, finding this side needle position. And if you're anything like me, you might need a second attempt at it, and that is totally okay. It's a very challenging balance. Breathing here. Good. Go ahead and with as much control as possible, transition to your folded figure 4. Right foot folds in front of the standing leg, and then shoots back up into the air to find your 3-legged dog and to transition back through downward dog. Flowing out to high plank, finding that low plank and pushing through your upward dog. Breathing as you flush out those muscles and hinge back to find your child's pose. Awesome job. Let's go ahead and roll out the wrists, take a little rest before we move on. Come up to standing, find the center of your mat. We are getting into some single leg balance work. We are going to find a dancer's pose and transition it down to the floor. So stay with me here. Reaching back, find the back of that left foot and grab your balance as you reach forward and find that dancer's pose. The knee reaches long behind you. As you start to dive for the floor, the standing leg can bend if that offers a little bit more stability for you. And as soon as possible, my fingertips find the floor, providing a little bit more balance. And then I see if I can straighten out my standing leg here, kicking the lifted leg up towards the ceiling. Reversing that path, so bending the standing leg, slowly releasing my fingertips from the floor and finding a focus in front of me as I transition back up to standing tall. That is not an easy transition. Great job. Lower the foot down, reach the arms up overhead and roll the wrists out in front of you. Roll out that standing ankle. It was working hard for a long time there. So now you know what you're in for on the other side. Let's go ahead and find a balance on the left leg. Right foot kicks back. We find our standing dancer's pose. The right shoulder is opening up as you kick back. The fingers reach forward, and ever so slowly you start to tip towards the floor, maybe bending that standing leg. Your gaze transitions down to the floor as you see where you'd like to place your fingertips. And then maybe, just maybe, you straighten out that standing leg as you kick the lifted leg a little higher. Breathing here, very minimal points of balance, very challenging balance position. Let's go ahead and reverse that pathway, softening the standing leg and slowly finding our way back onto one leg. Fighting for my life here. Breathe with me, gang. Good, let's let that go. Shaking out the ankles, shaking out the knees, taking a breather before moving on. Awesome job. We are almost there. Just a little bit of a morale boost here. We are getting into a back bend. So I am challenging myself to find my wheel pose from standing today. And so if that's not accessible to you, you absolutely can practice your wheel pose from the floor. Here I'm reaching my hands to my upper back and I'm stretching out the triceps and shoulders first. And then I'm leaning into my sacrum as I warm up my back bend. Separate the feet as much as you need to. And here you'll see I'm using my hands to walk down my legs as I reach back and look back behind me. We'll take this in stages. Slowly recover up to standing. Here we go again, widening the stance one more time as I prepare to release my hands all the way down to the floor. So walking down the legs. We can also use the wall as a tool here, walking down the wall for balance, and then eventually maybe getting those hands to the floor. And if you've found your wheel as an extra challenge today, maybe you lift your heels up from the floor, maybe you bring those feet a little closer together. Here's the fun part. Let's release the hands from the floor. Let's find our way back up to standing. Nice job, my friends. So the final thing we're going to do today is an advanced version of a wheel pose. So you're absolutely welcome to practice your wheel or your bridge in whatever version it is at today. But we are going to lower down onto our knees. Let's take a quick cat stretch just to counterbalance what we just did. A lot of strain, a lot of work happening through the back. So take a break here. And we are going to find a wheel pose from kneeling. So I lift up onto a high kneeling position. I tuck the toes under. And then I reach my hands up for the shoulder blades, elbows coming behind the hands before reaching back to the backs of the legs and slowly hinging myself back, maybe, just maybe, hands finding the floor for a kneeling wheel posture. This posture is so challenging. Find your way in and out of it as gracefully as you can, but be kind to yourself. Again, it is not easy. Holding here for any length of time before coming back onto your knees and untucking the toes, rolling out those wrists, catching your breath because wheel posture will certainly take your breath away. Let's stretch the legs out in front of us and let's have just a nice passive forward fold to nurture that back and release those back muscles that just worked so hard as you turned yourself inside out, not once, but twice. So comment down below if you made it this far in the video, and comment double wheel gang if you got 2 repetitions of any version of a wheel in today. Awesome job. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. Hit that like button, it helps so much, and definitely feel free to subscribe. Come back soon, more movement videos coming your way. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks for joining.